Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jared Rand, and welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Monday, December 18, 2023, after 3:15 p.m. Eastern. We're having a time for change call this Wednesday night around 9 p.m. Eastern. Abraham Lincoln once stated, in the end, it's not the years in your life that count, it's the life in your years. We all have an outrageous richness in this life that is often overlooked by many. Sometimes we just get wrapped up in the material world, struggling to gain something. We want more money, success, or acquire that special person, place, or thing that will seemingly make everything better. This wanting overlooks the deeper richness of life that naturally shows up by welcoming the vast unpredictability of it all. The truth is that life doesn't hold back. From the simplest joys to the most profound moments of deep heart and soul connection. Life is like a blank canvas that is perpetually splattered with a diversity of colors in thoughts, emotions, and experiences. Each moment contributes that essential component to the final masterpiece. And when this human life is over, and you look back at it all from a spiritual perspective, you are guaranteed to experience a jaw-dropping state of awe. Light will someday split you open, even if your life is now in a cage. Light will someday split you open, even if your life is now in a cage. Little by little, you will turn into the stars. Little by little, you will turn into the whole sweet, amorous universe. Puppets. It's probably a product of herd behavior and human conformity. Yet most of us, human beings, tend to get caught in an endless search for materialistic wealth, comfort, excitement, love, or security. As we know, the ego longs for something permanent or stable in this world. And when it fails to find it, it's redirected back to what's comfortable and known, this constant search for something more. We know that the ego always wants to be more, have more, do more. And in this world, it abhors the unknown and anything that is unpredictable. You can see why so many people respond the way they do to things. Life is never safe and never enough for a hungry ego. It always yearns for that next special something, but never feels like it ever arrived. How many people do you believe are constantly searching for their happiness, constantly searching for something in life? Whether they're on the go all the time, traveling here, doing this, doing that, and all this stuff. Constantly. That is ego mind. Now, the good news is that every moment of our lives contains this never-ending learning opportunity to grow beyond our ego and discover the infinite spiritual source of who we really are. Now, most likely, you will find that this is the only way to find everlasting wealth and real peace in this world. Otherwise, we get caught in the ego's games, perpetually hunting for something. or someone better forever. Understand that you own nothing. We don't. None of us own anything, even though we think we do. Everything that surrounds us is temporary. Only the love in our heart will last forever. The rest of the stuff, it's on lease, if you want to call it that. Because when we leave, it stays. Doesn't matter what you do. The Egyptians tried to put it in the coffins, right, in the sarcophagus, and they didn't go anywhere. So 3,000 years later, you open it up, there it is. When we sit back from the ego, we let go of the steering wheel and we start to truly trust this life. Then we discover that life has this super intelligent design already embedded in its hardware. The divine intelligent matrix of God. This is everywhere and in everything. It is what allows us to grow mentally, emotionally, or spiritually through every life experience that we have. When we are open to growing and evolving on this spiritual dimension, it becomes highly unpredictable where life's richness will arise next. In one moment, the deepest penetrating insights can show up in the most mundane encounter of looking at a bird sitting in a tree. And the next moment, you're being forced to summon deep spiritual wisdom to handle a very complex moral decision in a personal situation. You ever done that? I think we all have at least once. There is a spiritual wealth already inside life that is immediately found when we start seeing life through our spiritual lenses. A perpetually open-minded perception of reality opens the vault for this real wealth to enter. The experience of challenge, difficulty, and suffering can suddenly become our greatest source of wealth. For instance, pain, misery, affliction, hardship, distress, and adversity all give our lives depth and dimension. If we compare a life without any experience of suffering, it is truly dry, bland, and boring. When we have our spiritual glasses on, we see how human suffering acts like the spice of life, enriching the soup of every new experience with a savory flavor. A person who is beginning to sense the suffering of life is, at the same time, beginning to awaken to deeper realities, truer realities. For suffering smashes to pieces the complacency of our normal fictions about reality and forces us to come alive in a special sense, to see carefully, to feel deeply, to touch ourselves in our worlds in many ways, in ways we have heretofore avoided. Ken Wilber. When we think about the idea of being ridiculously rich, we would probably entertain the idea of having a ridiculous amount of money. And yes, richness does include physical wealth. Yet the deepest wealth in this life cannot come from having billions of dollars in 1,000 bank accounts. The mind and life of almost every millionaire, billionaire, and yes, a few trillionaires tend to be completely absorbed by money. The mind and the life of almost every millionaire, billionaire, and some trillionaire tend to be completely absorbed by money. when thoughts tend to cling to material wealth, it's because the mind is terrified deep down of losing everything it worked so hard to create. When wealth is only externalized, we will miss out on the infinite riches side. Now, for some of us, the richest person in the world is the person who spends the least amount of time thinking about money. Okay? That's very true. The richest person in the world is the person who spends the least amount of time thinking about money. They never worry about it. They never desire it or think they need more of it. The idea of money just doesn't enter their consciousness. It's just too small and limiting of a habit, especially when you compare it to centering the mind on the all-knowing, infinitely creative God source and fixating it there. How many of us, throughout our past, the meaning of life is to find out who you are. It feels so good to never think about money, not to yearn for it, feel this deep need for it, or always be afraid that one day it won't be there. Of course, money is a necessary and useful tool to continue playing the game of doing and having physical things in this world. When the richest person in the room thinks about money, they talk about money and feel like it is ubiquitous and abundant like air. They know that money is accessible everywhere. So real wealth is being one with this ever-flowing ocean of energy that's constantly changing and is an illusion. The vast ocean waters evaporate into clouds, fall as rain on the land, drain back into the seas by the rivers. The ocean receives and gives, yes, does not change. The tide slowly ebbs, pulling more water in, and then later it will flow the same amount back out. Yet the contents of the ocean remain the same. Make no mistake about it. Enlightenment is a destructive process. It has nothing to do with becoming better or being happier. Enlightenment is the crumbling away of untruth. It's seeing through the facade of pretense. It's the complete eradication of everything we imagine to be true. The complete eradication of everything we imagine to be true. Arya. Very true. When people stop making money a priority over life, they will have more time for the more important things. Things like the real wealth of our spiritual journey. Could be anything. Could be becoming a mother, a father for the first time, diving into the reflections in deep, intimate relationships. People begin to realize long ago that the greatest wealth in life is found on the inside. The kingdom of heaven is within us. It was never outside of us, ever. That's the matrix illusion. Kingdom of heaven is within us, right here, right now. Yet, we'll only see it and feel it when we fully give up looking for it in the outer world. Heaven is found on earth, and it appears when your mind, ego, and entire being give up its perpetual searching. Then you suddenly find it. Life is always going to find some way to challenge us in our beliefs. Growth is inevitable in this lifetime. Our entire childhood, experiences with parents, teachers, friends, and ancestral programming have molded us uniquely already. We are bound to encounter a vast spectrum of vastly different and unique experiences before we leave these bodies. When we look at ourselves today, in this very now, how do we approach feeling rich in life? Would you say we are building our energy on the sand or solid stone? Do you think your wealth is based on how much money you have? The sand is always moving and can instantly be taken away from you. The stone is solid, here, now, and probably won't change that much over 1,000 years. Our spiritual nature is eternal. And this is the only solid thing that never changes in this universe. There are no pockets in heaven. We don't get to take anything with us when we exit this body. Realize the importance of what real wealth truly is. And you will become instantly more wealthy. Each moment is so vastly rich. No two moments in this life contain the exact same identical experience. Every moment, our mind is learning how to become better and evolve. It's doing this automatically. The mind is always assimilating information differently, interpreting reality in another way based on what we just learned about the past, present, and future world. When we expand our awareness to see a bigger perspective, then we obtain the eyes to see all the greater wealth that's already here. When you look at the Milky Way galaxy and you view where we're at on the outer rim, all the stars that you see at night are just part of that little yellow circle, us. As long as we can remember that every moment of our life is infinitely rich, we will continue to feel wealthy and attract more money to us. This is all we need to remember and be thankful for. This universe is amazing, and it already contains all the joy, all the magic and mysteries that we'll ever want or need. Anything our hearts and souls desire to be, do, have, and experience is absolutely possible. Whatever we want in this life is probably going to manifest if we devote enough time, focus, and energy to it. When the mind surrenders to this understanding, and we fully accept this as the core true reality, the remainder of our time here becomes a jubilant joyride. Every life moment tributes a kaleidoscope of information and energy to the collective whole. Think about the vast diversity of human beings and the individual experiences that are happening right now on this planet. When we travel to a foreign country, this becomes evident. At this moment, a large group of people are speaking a language you cannot understand, with incredibly unique customs, traditions, new foods, and ways to have fun. When you get out your box and visit a country you've never been to, you'll experience how diversity is beyond your imagination. This adds even more flavors to the soup of life's infinite abundance. And remember this, beautiful things don't ask for attention. There is an amazing amalgamation of beauty found anywhere you travel in this world. Incredible nature, highly advanced technological man-made objects are scattered throughout this planet. Ultimately, life's richness is the sum of all these natural and man-made things, each one being significant, needing the other to relish its beauty. They are not contradictories, but complementaries, teaching us how to appreciate and cherish everything in this world. It is ironic how we must forget something now if we want to remember it later. We must choose to hold on if we want to learn how to let go. To recall the vast expanse of possibilities in this universe, we need to experience being narrow-minded. We need to complain about things, to fully enjoy reminiscing about the boundless joy, enhancement, and enigmas poised to astound us at every turn. And yes, we will forget this monumental understanding that life is inherently infinitely rich and abundant, with deep eternal love beyond measure. The mind loves to forget that life is boundless, infinite, and teeming with treasures. It wants to believe we are stuck and surrounded by limitations. That's why throughout this life, you will be kept being reminded. I believe that most of us understand that nothing is as it seems. Look again. Seek deeper. This life is inherently, infinitely rich and abundant with deep eternal love beyond measure. This one statement encompasses more than just having a positive state of mind. This is the intrinsic nature and the natural law of this universe. There is an inherent richness and an infinite field of information and energy. In a field of space devoid of borders or boundaries, how can we truly comprehend what's possible? The most exquisite wonder and wealth we can imagine manifesting is born out of that. Life is also inherently unpredictable. We all know that. It is this way to keep you positive, focused, alert, on our toes. When life becomes dull, repetitive, and predictable, it becomes challenging. Remember that when life challenges you, it's your moment to spread your roots and grow. We are not born to succumb to feelings of disappointment, doubt, depression, and feeling stuck forever. As we know, the pendulum of life naturally swings on its own accord. Life will find its way back to the center in time. We just have to let go of our egos, open our inner vision, trust in the divine flow. This is yet another reason why this life is so ridiculously rich. I am strong because I've been weak. I am fearless because I've been afraid. I am wise because I've been foolish. The reason we don't always see and feel the richness of this life is that the mind gets entangled in what you could call gratitude amnesia. It gets lost in super important desires, fears, and deep feelings of lack, which led us to believe that our universe is lacking something. We become fixated on wanting life to be different, and thus forget to appreciate everything and everyone who is still alive in our lives today. Every life experience that we have serves as a mirror. It is reflecting who we think we are and where we are at with our multi-dimensional, multi-faceted selves. We're all infinite souls, abiding temporarily in a finite human body, Homo sapien body, any body. We possess many layers and dimensions. This is another aspect of the richness of this life. There are so many different parts within ourselves that all fit perfectly together in the whole. Every day, think as you wake up. Today I am fortunate to be alive. I have a precious human life. I am not going to waste it. I am going to use all my energies to develop myself, to expand my heart out to others, to achieve enlightenment from the benefit of all beings. I'm going to have kind thoughts towards others. I am not going to get angry or think badly about others. I am going to benefit others as much as I can. Dalai Lama, the real Dalai Lama. If we don't feel that life is ridiculously rich today, it is likely that our ego has seized the control tower and is busy fixating on its selfish desires, needs, and complaints. The ego is not a bad thing. It just typically yearns for things to be different than they are. It can become demanding, desperate, and overly attached to things, working out exactly the way that it thinks they should. We must choose to not perceive this as a flaw within ourselves. The ego naturally adopts a fearful negative perspective at times, particularly when it struggles to surrender and trust in this great universal flow. Yet, it's our responsibility to remember that you are not your ego, nor all these reoccurring thoughts in your mind. You simply are not this amalgamation of feelings, beliefs, and thoughts. You are pure spirit, pure consciousness, the infinite observer behind the mind, You are the one always watching and listening. Abide as the eternal observer and listener, untouched by the mind, and you will discover true mastery of seeing and knowing the spiritual richness of life. Each day is a gift. Perhaps that's why we call it the present conscious Carl. Whenever our mind gets sucked into lack, fear, or worry, immediately remind yourself that this is an illusion. This lack consciousness is simply a bunch of synapses firing negative chemicals throughout your brain. Nothing is happening out in the physical world. You simply forgot your spiritual purpose and deeply eternal love mission. It happens the moment you get lost in the fear habit. You learn how to stop the mind in its tracks. You will recognize these old fearful thoughts are merely old broken movies replaying from childhood scenes that are lodged deeper inside your subconscious mind. Everything is connected. Everything is connected. Because life is so ridiculously rich, it can also feel insanely overwhelming and intense at times. We can believe everything is out of control, and we need to find some way to make it all right again. And whenever stress hits you hard, feel those feelings and allow the negative thoughts the space that they need. When our life stresses continue to surge and pull even harder at us, just sit back. Allow them to be whatever they are for a few deep breaths. Relax and let everything go. Sit back in pure, thoughtless awareness and rest in your consciousness. Keep retreating away from the mind, deeper within yourself, ever further. Retreat until you find yourself sitting in the very last seat on the bus. Here you can observe everything in this entire universe from that vantage point. There is only this moment. Be present and be here in love. It's a good thing to remember that the mind always tends to falsify things. It is always fabricating everything, saying you are rich now, and now you are struggling. The mind is not able to exist in reality, so it attempts to deceive us repeatedly. The mind will try to convince ourselves that we're inadequate, that our life is lacking something. It will say that you're not enough, or that you don't have enough money, time, friends, or whatever it may be. This mind is built upon limitation and will hypnotize us into believing this universe isn't filled with infinite, deep, eternal love. Don't trust the mind, trust your heart instead. There are juicier riches in the heart than you'll ever find in the head. And yes, our thoughts do hold immense power. They are always shaping and molding our reality. This is another aspect of the infinite richness of life. We are the ones who get to choose the thoughts we want to think. No one else does. We are the ultimate authority and chooser of thoughts behind the mind. Let's choose thoughts that expand and enrich our consciousness. We can simply stop giving our life energy to the thoughts that breed fear and drama. Our real power lies in recognizing ourselves as the infinite, eternal witness. The one always observing these passing thoughts. This realization is everything. It is where love and freedom begin to take over the mind and emerge on their own accord. Love needs two things. It has to be rooted in freedom, and it has to know the art of trust. If these two things are made available, your life immediately starts blossoming as if suddenly spring has come. So I invite everyone to give themselves plenty of time to realize how amazing, magna gloria, stupendous this life is, because this is all that we have. We have an infinite amount of time as a soul, as a God, and an infinite amount of time in this human body. We can always come back and try again if we don't get it right this round. And who's to say it wasn't right or wrong? The very aspect of our existence changes with this awareness. Remember again that this, and I remind myself all the time, that this human form is temporary. It is not forever. It is our home to dwell in and house to use on earth for a while. So do not make it a burden to endure. There is great richness in enjoying our physical bodies. There are trillions of souls waiting in long lines for a human body so they can start living, loving, and learning here on earth. We already have one. How fortunate are you? Our life is always a deep and eternal love, and never a curse to bear. Choose to see this world through grateful eyes. It will never look the same way again. We have the opportunity to experience deep eternal love and gratitude anytime and without a cost. Within this human experience lies the ever-present opportunity to bask in deep eternal love and gratitude. And these gifts are bestowed upon us for free. All it requires is our willingness to relinquish our personal agenda and unearth that hidden cavern of appreciation and inherent joy residing within us. The richness of life is already here, now. It's in the fleeting and unpredictable moments of our everyday miraculous human existence. And I really do have faith that you have found a way today to embrace this life with a deeper gratitude and reverence. This is the most important element for anyone to learn on their journey. So let's celebrate this moment. Repeat it frequently. Let's all make extra time each day to sit back from the busy mind and relax into our infinite spiritual nature. Let's observe how everything in this universe is deeply interconnected and interwoven. Let's enjoy exploring all the diversity of this grand mosaic and honoring how each moment is the divinely rich foundation of our spiritual existence. If you realized how beautiful you are, you would fall at your own feet. Byron Katie. I'll join you in the meditation. I'll return to close us out. Take an easy and slow breath. In through the nose. And an easy and slow breath out from the mouth. Remain still. At the very core of your being is the source of pure consciousness. It is the most brilliant multidimensional energy that you'll ever find in the whole universe. The greatest shimmering diamond discovered, with 10,000 sparkling facets, cannot compare to the brilliance of your scintillating consciousness. When you seek out this inner jewel and explore it intimately, you soon realize that it is open to receiving every experience that life offers. It doesn't push away any negative experience or try to put towards it only positive experiences. Your radiant, pure consciousness accepts all, embraces all, loves all, and welcomes all experiences. It knows that each life experience, whether it's painful or pleasurable, is a vital ingredient needed on the soul's path towards enlightenment. Every soup needs a little spice, a little salt, a little sweetness to make it perfectly balanced. So my invitation to you today is to merge with, connect deeper with this all welcoming, non-judging energy. Notice how good existence is when you have no resistance to the divinity in this life. Take this with you for the rest of the day, into the evening and night and the following morning. We'll return here Tuesday, December 19, 2023, around 3:15 p.m. Eastern, to continue our global guided meditation call. Be gentle, kind, generous, and humble with yourself at all times. Be in the highest of the highest high, deepest of the deepest deepest, purest of the purest purest. Eternal gratitude at all times, no matter what's happening within you or outside of you.